Okay, let's dive right in, because today we're looking at a pretty wild vision for the future of work. We're not talking about AI as just, another app on your computer. Nope. We're talking about AI as your next colleague, a formal member of your team. This is the radical plan from one Japanese CEO to completely reshape how we work.
And this quote right here, it gets to the heart of it all. Daisuke Ozaki, the CEO of a staffing company called NFA, says he wants to dispatch AI to his clients in the exact same way he dispatches human employees. I mean, it's a single, super provocative idea that challenges pretty much everything we think we know about our jobs, our teams, and who, or, well, what we work with. So how did he even get to this point?
Well, to really get this vision, we got to rewind about 20 years, back to when the company was founded in a totally different world.
Over the last 2 decades, Japan's workforce has done a complete 180. 20 years ago, there was a surplus of labor. The biggest fear wasn't about finding the right job, it was about finding any job at all. But today, the situation has completely flipped. Japan is facing this massive labor shortage, and the anxiety has shifted from people looking for jobs to companies desperately looking for people.
And that's where NFA's original mission came from, born out of those earlier anxieties. The goal was really noble and super human-centric. Create stable, happy jobs, and just get rid of that fear of being unemployed. But, in a world where workers are now scarce, that mission, while it's still important, it just doesn't solve the biggest problem their clients are facing anymore.
So that brings us to today, where those old fears have pretty much vanished, only to be replaced by a new, and honestly, a much tougher crisis.
And this is the core problem. Hito Busoku, the labor shortage. Companies are genuinely struggling to keep up, simply because they can't find enough people. This is what forced CEO Asaki to realize his original mission wasn't cutting it. He had to find a new way to help his clients survive, a way to boost that shrinking human workforce.
So this becomes the big question, not just for him, but for businesses all across the country. It's a simple question, right? But the answer is incredibly complex. And for Osaki, that answer started to get a lot clearer when he began to experiment himself. And this is where the story gets personal. Before he went and cooked up some grand vision, the CEO started using generative AI in his own day-to-day work. And the results, they were kind of staggering.
Just look at this example. Taking meeting minutes for an important board meeting. That used to be a 3-hour job for one of his staff members. But now, the AI sits in on the meeting and a draft is ready almost instantly. All a human has to do is a quick 15-minute review. So, a 3-hour job just became a 15-minute task.
15 minutes. That number became everything. The CEO found that a complex presentation, something that used to take him 1, maybe 2 weeks to prepare, he could now get a solid draft done in just 15 minutes. This wasn't just a small improvement, it was a total revolution for his own productivity, and it opened his eyes to something much bigger.
Okay, so now he's armed with this powerful personal experience. And from that, Osaki developed this really ambitious new plan for his company, one that's set to launch for their 20th anniversary in 2026. But there was a problem. Even though he was having all this success, getting his own team on board was slow going. He figured only about a quarter of his staff were actually using AI, and the reasons were what you'd expect. Some didn't know how. Others just felt that real work needed a human touch. He knew he couldn't just recommend AI, he had to formally bake it into the company's structure. And his solution is, wow, it's bold. The vision for 2026 is to keep his 60 human employees and then officially add 40 AI colleagues. They won't just be tools, they'll literally be counted as part of the team. This creates a 100-member hybrid organization, and it completely redefines what a team even means.
So what does this hybrid team actually look like day to day? Well, the whole philosophy is to reposition humans. We're not the laborers anymore, we become the leaders, the decision makers.
To really hammer this idea home, Osaki doesn't see AI as some passive tool. He talks about his different AIs as having their own unique personalities, so much so that he says it feels like talking to a friend. He's even given them names, though he was a bit too shy to say what they were in the interview. But that mindset is absolutely key to seeing them as true collaborators.
So in this new workflow, the human role totally shifts. The AI is your co-pilot. It does all the heavy lifting, the research, the drafting. It'll generate plan A, plan B, and plan C for you. Your job as the human is to be the pilot. You analyze those options, you weigh the risks, and you make the final strategic decision. Your role moves away from execution and becomes all about judgment.
But the story doesn't just end there with this rosy picture. In a moment of really fascinating honesty, the CEO brings up his own worries about where this is all headed.
the unintended consequences of the very future he's trying to build.
And here it is, the paradox. The very tasks that AI is great at, taking minutes, drafting presentations, all that stuff, that's the same work that has traditionally been the training ground for young people starting their careers. Yeah, it's the grunt work, but it's how you learn. So if AI takes all that over, how does the next generation get that experience?
The CEO himself admits that he built his own career on those exact same tasks. And with this genuine uncertainty, he wonders what's going to happen to future leaders if they never get that foundational experience. He says, quote, "I honestly don't know the answer." And that right there is maybe the most important question that this whole thing leaves us to think about.